My road to getting married at 54 has a lot to do with my own journey about what is value, what is my own self-value and self-worth for me. I would say somebody's like, oh, it took you a long time, to get remarried. And it did. And I really had to ask some of these questions because I was in the whole golden handcuffs of exchanging money for time, as a medical doctor, as a family medicine practitioner. I realized from a very young age that the family culture that I grew in was very much, Maggie, your value is your financial worth, your ability to make money and produce, like producer. And my own nickname for myself was workhorse. And it was conscious, it was subconscious. Now, let me tell you this, what happens when we get into health issues? One of the things I notice is men and women alike, when we get into health issues, and those of us who value ourselves as our value is worth our exchange for time or exchange for money, when it starts to impact upon that, it really starts to devastate your sense of self-identity and self-worth. What happens when workhorse can't work? It's really hard, like sometimes it's even the question of like, what do you want versus what you need? And a lot of times I remember as a kid, even my mom asking me, what do you want for Christmas? I said, an electric blanket. Or no, I said underwear, actually. I think I either said underwear or an electric blanket, something like that, because I needed it, because I didn't understand that what is want, what is a desire. And so for me, like, I didn't realize until much later on that I want good health. I desire a high self-valuation of myself, but I didn't grow up with that. And so very interestingly was I worked harder. When I got sicker, I worked harder. The worse I felt, the harder I worked and the more I pushed and the more bigger I got, and work harder, and I didn't work smarter. I just worked harder and harder. And I used to run away from problems. When problems came up, I ran away from it. The way I ran away from it was by being a workaholic. I got to work my way through this problem. I can work. It's like, I didn't work smarter. I worked harder. Right. And that comes from an innate sense of self-worth, a low self-worth and low self-valuation that destroyed my health. I say I nearly died 3 times, and I did because I tried to work harder my way through the problem. And it's investment of time, energy, focus, money, piece by piece from my lowest point where I was like, it was hard starting my own business. I remember like at my lowest point, I lost my marriage. I lost my job. I nearly lost my life. And then I had to go get a bank loan to start a new medical practice, which is what I did, but that is an investment. Did I say I had to spend $150,000 to start my new practice? Or did I say I invested? I got a loan and invested in starting a new medical practice. That's what I did. But that was the very first time I invested. All the other times I was working and giving to the kids, the family, working and doing that. But that's trading my time for money. The first time I really invested in myself was when I took a loan to open up a medical practice. And that was the first investment that I did. And it's all these micro investment that we did that yields over time more and more and more and more. I'm glad I did that at 36? Because now I'm 54 and I'm almost 18 years into this. And this is why, I've invested in my own health, education, in my own entrepreneurial spirit and business acumens. I've invested in my wisdom, my knowledge, and I invested in myself as a teacher and also as in my own health. I am healthier now at 54 than I was at 34.
And then I also want to point out, you've also learned to then invest in yourself personally, socially. That has really rolled into that as well, because you started off this chat by saying it took me so long to get remarried, because you might have still had that mindset of I'm not worthy, I'm not worth it. But the longer and longer you invested in yourself in other ways, perhaps, I don't want to put words in your mouth, you realized I am worthy, I am worth it. I deserve a love like this. I deserve the life that I want.
Yeah. I didn't think I was worthy of being married, of being someone's wife. I didn't think I was worthy of being what I call a highly desired woman. I would be at other people's weddings and I would cry because I felt like, oh, that woman's worth being a highly desired woman, where a man would be so proud to stand next to her and marry her. And I didn't think I was ever worth that. This is a journey, everybody, that I had to make to realize that I was worth, and not only was I worth investing in, but I was worth this incredible man, this incredible relationship. When he was standing there saying his vows and looking at me with, I saw the love, the pride. I saw the pride in his eyes. I couldn't take my eyes off him during his vows because I really truly accepted that I am a woman who's worthy of this great love. I am a woman who's worthy of a wedding. I am a woman who's worthy of good health. But that's my journey. So this comes from a very personal space where I want every woman, every man, every child who's sick to get better.
I was just going to say a really important piece for people to notice is that the self-worth came after the decision that you were worth it. All of the beautiful things in your life that are happening, and I'm so happy for you, they're wonderful, happened after you made the decision that you were worth it. That's why a lot of times I say you cannot see past a decision you haven't made yet because of the energetic influence. It's like when you're, one of the things I was thinking about while I was eliminating gluten, which was a really hard thing for me to do because I'm such a bready. But I've had to say to myself, you are worth more than a butter croissant. You are worth more than a bagel. You are worth more than all of that. And to get to that point, I feel like I needed to make the investment. And I'm going to even say that, I appreciate the price point because I need to take it seriously. And also it's incredibly valuable. I would not hesitate to spend the money again for anybody who's listening. And I just can't say enough about the fact that when you get an education about why the things are the way they are, not just to do things, right? Because everybody tells us to do things. I mean, from the cabbage soup diet to, fasting, intermittent fasting, the same thing happens in finance. You have the Susie Ormans of the world, and they're talking and giving you some guidelines. Well, that's great, but we need to get specific. We need to talk about you. We need to talk about the fact that you might be high estrogen, and that's a problem. You might be, hormone issues, and you can't have, dairy anymore, which happened for me. And it's like, no one's ever told me that, and I wouldn't have known that. And so we have to get specific and figure out what works for you. Customized, authentic, a picture of who you are and where you want to get to.
To figure out the root cause that's underlying your chronic disease or symptom, click the link above or below this video and register for the training. We'll see you there.